Alright guys, I know I haven't made a video in like a couple of weeks, but obviously football has been cancelled for Walsall fans and that, so the game last week, the game that was meant to be playing Boxing Day and the game on the 29th has been cancelled, but I don't want to leave it with no content and that. So what I'm going to do is today, I'm going to do how COVID is going to affect the football world in a sense. And these are obviously my opinions on what I think is going to happen because nothing's been put in place yet. So obviously I could be completely wrong, but this is what I think is going to happen with football over the UK really, because I can't judge on what's going to happen in different countries because there's different rules in different countries, if you know what I mean. But yeah, obviously we have a man who doesn't really have a clue in charge in Boris Johnson, so he's making up rules as we go along. But with football sense, there's a lot of players who are refusing to get the vaccine in a sense, which there's 25%, so a quarter of the players are refusing to get the vaccine in the top four leagues. Which obviously it's personal choice, that's up to them. I have my vaccine, so yeah, but it is personal choice, that's up to them. I think it's one of them, it will affect football because if players, as we've seen with a large number of teams, a lot of their players are getting COVID and games are being forced to be called off and that. But I don't think it should be the case. I personally think that teams have, like, say when teams have players injured, like 5 players injured, they don't cancel a game. They call in players and they accept the fact that they've got a weakened squad, but they have to do what they have to do. With this, I kind of get it because you don't want to risk the safety of other players and fans possibly getting it. But I do think that especially with the likes of when Villa got cancelled against Burnley on about 2 hours before kick-off, I don't think stuff like that is right because Burnley fans would have made the trip down to Villa Park because it ain't a short journey. They would have made the trip down to Villa Park and for it to be called off and then they don't have nothing for it, you know what I mean? Then they've got to travel back. I don't think that's really fair. I think the way this should go about it is the way Walsall have gone about it, is postponing them a few days before so fans ain't missing nothing, they ain't expecting nothing. It's a shame obviously because everyone loves their football on the Boxing Day and the fact that our game's been called off because of this horrible disease, then yeah, it's sad, but we got to do what we got to do. I think it will eventually come down to the fact that spectators won't be allowed back in and it will be behind closed doors again because I don't think they can afford to make the season void because of how many games have already been played. I know we're only about a quarter of the way through the season, but I don't think they can afford for it to just be completely scrapped because teams want to play. It's just that unfortunately they can't help what's going on in the world right now. I think that it should be behind closed doors for me anyway. Obviously as a fan I'd love to go and that, but I think for the safety of everyone and players and fans, I think it should be behind closed doors. But I definitely don't think games should be called off, especially not on game day. I think if you are going to call a game off, because you need to, it's understandable, a team might need to, but if you're going to call a game off, I think you should go about it a few days before and not on game day because people make their plans around game day. So, because there's fans that ain't just based in one place, they're based all over the world, all over the UK, because people watch from abroad and they have to get all these streams that they have to be up and then they get cancelled and you're just like, well, that's a bit crap. But I think it should be played behind closed doors and I think that would be the best way to sort it if I'm honest. No fans are allowed back in, and even though it's boring and that because there's no atmosphere and players love having fans behind them, of course they do, that's football for you. You want your fans behind you, supporting you, it gets your mentality up. But I think you need to be safe with what's going on in the world at the moment. you can't take any risks. Or the other thing I said about if there's 5 or 4 players who have COVID, maybe bring in some of the reserves who haven't played much and give them a game, because we still have the players, and you know what I mean. It's just, I think a lot of it's about health and safety now, which is obviously a big thing, but I think there's 2 options there. We can either play behind closed doors, or when players do have COVID, we test everyone on the day or the day before, and whoever has it, they're not in the squad, and whoever don't, they can play. I think they're the only 2 ways we could possibly sort it. Other than that, void the season, but I think that's the last resort that anyone wants. No one wants to go a whole year without football. So that's the only thing I can think of. But yeah, if there's any opinions you want to leave about what it's going to do, just let me know and I'll read through them. But yeah, peace anyway.